Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. We're going through the Old Testament. We're looking at the different books of the Old Testament and seeing how Jesus is revealed in them. And we're in the book of 2 Samuel at the moment. And there we find an example of something that is called prophetic foreshortening. Now, to simply explain this, imagine you are in a range of mountains. And looking ahead, you can see a high mountain peak. It looks like you've just got to cross over the next mountain, and this big mountain is going to be right behind it. And then when you get to the top of the mountain you're on at the moment, you realize that now you can see over the top. You realize that there's a valley in between. There's more mountains. There's maybe even a city or a lake or something else. There was stuff in between that you didn't see. It just looked like it was just over the next hill and you were there. And then you realize that it was foreshortened by the way that you're looking at it. Well, prophetic foreshortening is the biblical equivalent of that. It's where somebody receives a prophecy about something, and at first they're talking about something that is very present. It might be something in their own lifetime or something that's going to be in the next few years. And then suddenly you realize that they've moved beyond that and they're looking at something that is further away. And this particularly happens with the coming of Jesus, for example, where you might be looking at, you think you're talking about the first coming of Jesus, but then it's talking about him being a judge and stuff like this that you know is to do with his second coming. And we have an example of prophetic foreshortening in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verses 11 to 17, where there's a prophecy of Nathan about how David's son is going to build the temple. And if you remember, David wanted to build the temple, but God would not allow David to build the temple because he was a man of war and his hands were stained with blood. And God said, because of that, I'm going to use your son to build the temple, speaking about Solomon. And so initially this prophecy starts out, we're looking at Solomon. He will build the temple, but it also says that he will do wrong. So we know that's not talking about Jesus, that's talking about Solomon, because Jesus never did wrong. Jesus was sinless. But then it goes on in the same prophecy to talk about this son of David establishing a kingdom that will never pass away. And that's when we realize that this prophetic foreshortening has taken place and it's moved from talking about Solomon, the immediate son of David in the next generation, to Jesus, the ultimate son of David, who is the very reason for David being on earth in the first place, was to be part of that ancestral chain that would bring Jesus Christ as God in human flesh to accomplish the redemption of the world. And so now it's saying that he will establish a kingdom that will never pass away. And of course Solomon's kingdom did pass away. It was destroyed. But the kingdom of Jesus Christ will never pass away. And this is beautifully explained for us in the New Testament in Luke chapter 1, verses 30 to 33, when the angel Gabriel is speaking to Mary. Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever, and his kingdom will never end. So we see there that prophecy of Nathan's starts off talking about Solomon, but by the end of it, it's talking about Jesus, because Jesus is the theme of the Old Testament. You can't understand the Old Testament unless you're ready to see Jesus as he is revealed there. God bless you today. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.